asking here. All right. This should. Okay. So happy election night, everyone. I'm in the East Coast right now, so the polls are officially closed over here. I will be joined by Dr. Yen. I don't know if she's in here yet. Let's see. We have a few people. We're going to be talking all things election and talking about some very important votes in terms of reproductive health. Some planning afterwards if the votes don't really go in our favor. We have some plans, not all is lost. There's things we can do to fight back. And then we'll just be talking about some other potential political attacks that birth control. So let me see. I'm going to see if, I was just about to message Dr. Yen, but she's here. Okay.
Hello.
Okay, I have like 8 broadcasts on right now because I'm doing the streaming. So let me know if there's any like sound things coming from my end. I think it should be good, but and that's to the audience too. If I sound just shoot me a message. But I just watched your live stream with Evo. If you guys wanted to get that version, that is on Facebook. That is our version. We talked pretty much all the same things we're going to be talking tonight, which is all things election night.
Vote.
I was telling them before you got on that the polls are officially closed over here because I'm back on the East Coast now. But yeah, there's some important things going on tonight. So before we get into all of the votes to look for stuff, I just want to remind people why midterms are important, even though they're not a presidential vote. They're still very important. Midterm elections are for congressional seats, which our congressmen also do a lot of stuff for us. So I'm pretty sure Senate is 6 years, so a third of the Senate is up for election at each of these midterms, and then 2 years, so at midterms for election. Some races are a little more tight and a little more important as far as swinging the balance, but and there's some states we're specifically looking at for reproductive leaders and whatnot. So what states are you really looking at?
I'm really looking at Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and really with Georgia, we have Stacey Abrams, we have current Senator and Reverend Warnock. I think the fact that he's a reverend and pro-choice should just let him win on that alone. And I really don't understand his opponent as a Black Republican. It's as stupefying to me as a gay Republican when the party just doesn't support you. Why are you running for that party? But also just all the stuff that has come out about Reverend Warnock's opponents, but just the overall goodness of Reverend Warnock.
Yeah. And that's interesting. We both mentioned Merrill was also known as Pro-Choice America, and we met another reverend politician that you hear anti-abortion and religion. It's really interesting when you meet religious leaders that are
yes, as I like to say, it isn't pro-abortion. It's pro allowing you to choose, and that each person decides according to their religion. And so ultimately, a religious leader doesn't want one religion, whoever's won the election, to force their religion and their religious view on everyone else. And also, I'm hearing weird background, but maybe it's just on my thing. That it's hard to think with the echo. That it's un-American to push your religion on other people. And we built this country on freedom of religion. And to truly practice freedom of religion, we shouldn't force one religious view on anyone else. And so that's why it should be left to each individual to decide.
Absolutely. I know that there's
not when you're speaking, only when I speak.
Okay. I might, when you speak, I'll try to mute. I know other elections that we're looking at is Pennsylvania is a big one. I was actually without earphones. Maybe without the earphones it might help. That's what.
Yeah, I think my earphones help because it cuts the. But I could be wrong.
I thought my AirPods. I was like, maybe I can go with those. They might be behind me. But I was watching Pennsylvania. We have Fetterman and Oz. This really great. I think it was an Amy Schumer. Favorite of Fetterman, where it was going, or not in favor of Fetterman, but anti-Oz, because Oz basically said that what was it? The decision to have an abortion should be between you, your doctor, and your local politician. And so he did an ad where he was going from person to person, like community leaders asking to get on. But that's one we're looking at. I know that also Pennsylvania, they have a governor that frequently uses the power of veto to go against those challenges to abortion. This as well.
I'm not as familiar with the governor, but we usually like to not be partisan, but really in this election, all the Democrats are supporting reproductive rights and all the Republicans are not. Democrats are supporting the right to bodily autonomy, and the Republicans are not. And the key with the Fetterman-Oz thing is that Dr. Oz, I heard, is a carpetbagger. He doesn't really live in Pennsylvania. I think he comes from New Jersey. And also, as you all know, he's famous because of Oprah, but Oprah endorsed Fetterman. So make sure everyone realizes he doesn't get any Oprah credit, Dr. Oz. And also, as a physician, he should not be making fun of somebody who had a stroke. That just shows you no empathy whatsoever and really doesn't make him look good.
Does not. And especially for having a stroke, I think Fetterman holds his own pretty well. So I like Fetterman. I know that not every election also, we're not just seeing leaders talking about abortion. I think it is going to be on a couple ballots. Kansas did have a vote a while ago.
Kansas voted to protect reproductive rights and shot down an initiative that would have taken away the access to abortion. So we say, thank you, Kansas. And we hope, oftentimes we've said in the past, the way Kansas goes the whole country. Well, I hope in this case, the whole country does follow Kansas. California has a reproductive rights law on our ballot, and it's Proposition 1. So anyone in California, you still have 2.5 hours-ish to vote. Vote yes on Prop 1. Pennsylvania also has an abortion thing on theirs, and I don't know which way you're supposed to vote, but it's Proposition 3. Look it up, figure it out, though your polls are closed now. So I hope you all voted right. I've also heard it may take a while for the results to come back because there's so many mail-in ballots. So that's exciting because usually those trend towards reproductive rights groups, hopefully. The sad part is I have an acquaintance who's working election protection, and they're actually throwing out a lot of the mail-in ballots because they don't think they're real. But I'm like, really? Like the evidence of mail fraud, I think, was like 2 out of the entire nation. And it was people that were dead that were voting. And when you looked at what party it was not the Democratic Party. It was the Republican Party that the dead person voted for. So I'm just saying, when you're talking mail fraud, it doesn't happen that often. And it's probably just an excuse for whoever loses to, to just say stuff. And it's really scary if we lose a lot of these elections to anti-bodily autonomy, anti-reproductive rights, because it's just the tip of the iceberg. You start with abortion, then you go after birth control, and then we have, senators and governors saying that emergency contraception is abortion. And it's like, oh, no, 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 because the whole point of emergency contraception is to prevent the pregnancy so you don't need the abortion. And if you equate the two, then you have lost your ability to prevent some of your abortions. The reason people have abortions is because they have unplanned pregnancy. And if we can prevent an unplanned pregnancy, then we can prevent abortion. So as I want to emphasize over and over again, no gynoticians, #gynoticians, which is politicians who think they're gynecologists and who think that they're doctors, and even doctors like Dr. Oz, who is a cardiothoracic surgeon. Again, his body, his choice, his family, his choice. But even then, he doesn't have the right to impose his choice on his wife, his mother, if he has daughters, nieces, grandchildren. Each person's body, each person's choice, in consultation with their physician, medical provider for safety. But ultimately, it comes down to you and your relationship with your God. And even people of the same faith differ in how they would choose. There are many Catholics that would never choose to terminate a pregnancy, but they would also never push their decision on you. And you have every right to try to convince someone to go the way you go, just like you have every right to try to convert someone to your religion. But you have no right to push your religion on someone else. It's just un-American.
Sorry, I was muted. But yes, yes to all of that. So, we are going to be super hopeful tonight, but in case that see their state turn to a hostile state, I know I literally just moved from North Carolina, and we're a purple state. There's every possibility that state could go hostile towards reproductive freedom. So if you're in one of those states, just know that there are options for you for reproductive health care. If you are struggling to get, if you're living in a birth control desert, there is birth control advocate for. We encourage you to do so. Do you want to tell everyone what birth control or abortion for different things, but
yes, so Pandia
is?
Health, we can deliver to all 50 states. If you have a prescription from your doctor and insurance to cover it, we can deliver to all 50 states. And if you don't have insurance, it's roughly $7 per pack of pill for if you get 13 pack minimum. Or the pills that I like that have fewer side effects, particularly for Asians, Blacks, and anyone who doesn't want to bleed every single month, is $15 per pack, 3-pack minimum. But our doctors currently can prescribe in 14 states. And so by birth control tourism, what we mean is we chose the biggest states and some of the states that have the fun stuff. So if you're going to any of the Disneys or any of the Universals, if you're going to South by Southwest, or if you're going to get some barbecue in Austin or San Antonio, or if you're going to Georgia for this election and helping out there, or Pennsylvania, Illinois, Washington State, Vegas, New York, and we aren't currently serving your state. As long as you're physically in that state, fill out the questionnaire, pay $25 once a year to use our expert doctors, and say, I am in New York right now. I am in Vegas right now. When you're signing the piece of paper and paying the money, then our doctor in that state legally can write you a prescription, and then we can ship the medication to all 50 states. So we strongly encourage birth control tourism. If you're not in one of the 14 states that we currently serve, you just have to get there once a year. It's a road trip, you know, a reason to go to Vegas, a reason to come to San Francisco or LA, one of, you know, wherever you want to come join us and have some fun with us. And then really important for people to know about plancpills.org. Totally different, not prevention of pregnancy, but if you have a positive pregnancy test, very important to know about Plan C pills. It is a nonprofit. You put in your state and it gives you your telemedicine abortion options. And so one option in states where it's very, very restricted, like before 6 weeks or something like that, you can actually order the medication in advance. And so as soon as you miss that period, you can be like, oh, take the medicine. It's $105, which is cheaper than a surgical abortion at $800, and cheaper than a vaginal delivery at $10,000, a C-section at $40,000, and just an unplanned pregnancy when you don't want to have an unplanned pregnancy. So anybody in a very conservative state might want to consider having some medication abortion ahead of time. And anyone coming from a liberal state to a conservative state might want to take a look at that. Also on that website, they have a free legal hotline run by, I believe, If, When, How, which is formerly Law Students for Choice. And then they also have a free medical hotline as well. So I absolutely trust plancpills.org. If you need medication abortion, that's a great resource. Of course, Planned Parenthood is always good, but they may be overwhelmed. The example they give is in Southern California, Planned Parenthood's abortions have gone up by 3,000%. And it's other states flooding in because their states have put out crazy restrictions. And what that implies for those of us in that state is when we need to access it, there may be a long wait. And the longer you wait to have an abortion, the greater the risk to your health. So if you want to get it as soon as possible, you don't want to get it later. Nobody wants to get it later. It's just access and restrictions and availability. But one way is if you got good birth control, then you won't have to worry about needing an abortion. I always believe in doubling up condoms plus a hormonal method of birth control or the copper IUD. Never double up on the condom itself, but condoms plus will get you down there. And then today I was on Reddit, and they didn't have time to wait for their birth control. They were anxious to have sex. So they're like, should I just not have sex as there's no way I want to get pregnant? Or condoms plus spermicide plus withdrawal. Anytime you can throw down different methods, then you decrease the risk of pregnancy.
Just some basic math, you know. So I just totally blanked. I was thinking about
we actually have a blog piece called Contraceptive Math. And so if this is the rate of pregnancy with condom, this is the rate with spermicide, you multiply the two and it goes down to a lower number. And so
there's so many different options you could do too. I was going to circle back to emergency contraception. I know that I make you do that walk. Every time we go live, I make you do the explanation. You did touch upon it earlier. But just know I'm not advocating for, porting. No emergency contraception porting. You're probably just fine with one or two, but from doctors and ask the pharmacist for for contraception. So, when you go to get that Ella, have so that you can have it when you need it instead of rushing, or have it on hand when you need it instead of rushing to the pharmacy and hoping that they have some, especially with what we've been seeing with politicians. They are going to start definitely emergency contraception first, probably eventually birth control. I think it was Hemp that said he's coming for he's coming for Plan B. It's an abortifacient, which is but yeah, just always make sure emergency contraception as soon as happens all the time, even with perfect usage, even with contraceptive mask. Um, and then know the difference between Plan A, B, uh, also, and know the difference between your emergency contraception. So I don't think that say in a little bit if you want to give us the Plan B.
Yes. So I'll do that as part of Plan A, B, and C. So Plan A is your everyday, long-term preventing unplanned pregnancy. And so what we're teaching all doctors is start with the best and work your way down. So as your doctor counsels you on your options, you should start with the implant, the IUD, and then the shot, and then the ring, the patch, the pill. And the reason ring, patch, pill is the ring you have 12 times a year you can mess up. The patch you have 52 times you can mess up, and the pill you have 365 times you can mess up. So the fewer times you can mess up, the better the method. So that's Plan A. Plan B, brilliant marketing, is emergency contraception, but know that there are a ton of generics of Plan B, and Plan B is like 60 bucks. And if you go for a generic, you can sometimes get it for 10 or 12 bucks. So very important for people to know. And we have a new friend, Julie, which is the new generic Plan B, cool and happening. And it's just like Plan B, but it's cheaper and it's over the counter just like Plan B. The negative of Plan B is really important for everybody using emergency contraception to check your BMI. If your BMI is 26 or greater, Plan B and its generics don't work so well. If your BMI is 30 or greater, does not work at all. And then Ella beats Plan B at every single time point. And although it's a difference of 2% getting pregnant versus 1%, one could argue that's 100% difference. And if it's you getting pregnant, it's 100% difference. And so if it was me, my daughter, my friend, I would get Ella. I'm not being paid by Ella. I just don't want anybody to get pregnant unless they want to get pregnant. And then under the Affordable Care Act, any FDA-approved birth control is available with no copay, no deductible. So if your doctor writes a prescription for Ella, it costs you nothing if you have insurance. And then also know that if you're sexually assaulted and you want the 0% chance of getting pregnant, you can go to the ER and ask for an intrauterine device. If they put in the copper IUD, it's almost 0%. It's like 0.1% that get pregnant on a copper IUD. And you can do any of the emergency contraceptions up to 5 days after sexual assault, contraceptive failure, not coming in for your depot on time. You get the idea. And you can also do the hormonal IUD. And if you go in the ER and they're like, well, you got to do the hormonal IUD, say, Dr. Yen, and this is the only time you should invoke my Stanford title. Dr. Yen of Stanford said that there is a New England Journal of Medicine article from January 21 that says, yes, you can use the hormonal IUD. And so look up that paper if the ER doc will let you and hunt for this video, but we've mentioned it before on other videos. So know that that is Plan B. The other tip I want to give you is that Plan B is not an abortifacient. It is a progesterone. So progesterone is actually pro-gestation. Gestation is pregnancy. We actually give progesterone to women who have recurrent miscarriages because we're like, you seem to be missing some progesterone, maybe. Let's give it to you. And so the way that Plan B and its generics works is it throws out a whole bunch of progesterone and the body goes, ooh, I'm pregnant. Why would I want to release another egg? But once the egg and sperm hook up, giving you that progesterone may actually promote the pregnancy. So when somebody says Plan B is an abortifacient, it is the exact opposite. It supports pregnancy, and we give it to women that have recurrent miscarriages. So if you want to look really smart, go up to that politician and go, did you know that progesterone is used to support women who have recurrent miscarriages and is used to help them get pregnant? So no, sir, you are wrong.
Oh my gosh, that is I always forget that, and then every time you remind me that, it blows my mind. But that is something that we're seeing a lot more of. So it's super important for you guys to just know the difference. Because I mean, I've seen like a ton of that sentiment on Twitter that Plan B is an abortion. It couldn't be any further from the truth. There are 3 plans. There's Plan C as well. So, which is abortion. That's medication abortion. There's also surgical abortion, of course. But yeah, just know the difference. Keep yourself educated. Keep yourself informed. I would say go vote. I mean, if you're on the East Coast, still, or on the West Coast, still go vote. And just stay in the loop of what's going on, because things are changing day by day. Hopefully, we'll wake up to really great news tomorrow. But if not, have a plan, know where to get things. Come to us for Plan A. Come get your birth control from Pandia. Like Dr. Yen will always say, we're doctor founded, doctor led, and they take an oath. Doctors do no harm, so we will never lead you astray. We're based off of personal beliefs. We're here for education, and also we all do believe in bodily autonomy.
Yes, we want each person to decide, and we believe in freedom of religion, and we believe in democracy and counting the votes and looking at truth and evidence and science. So please vote if you haven't voted, and you can vote in the future going forward. Definitely vote, volunteer, donate, amplify. And if you're a person that supports reproductive rights and no one else is running for the school board with that view, please run for office. They've shown that those of us with uteri need to be asked to run, whereas those without uteri self-nominate. So I'm nominating everyone that's watching this broadcast that supports reproductive rights. I've asked and tagged you to run.
It's like the ice bucket challenge, but it's the run for office challenge.
I would love it, Claire, if you run for office.
Hey, who knows? When I first went to college, I studied political science, but it was 2016, and there was an election that really I didn't like that happened that year.
Yeah,
you can guess.
And Pelosi did not become a politician until she had like her 5 children.
Oh wow! And she's a rock star. I mean,
yes. If we lose the House,
killing it.
We'll be sad. If we lose anything, it will be dangerous. It will be emboldening to people that are racist, that are anti-democracy, anti-bodily autonomy. But it's a little late now, so we just need to live with what happens and work on making it better.
Absolutely. And I love the saying, I kind of stole it for our Instagram caption from Naral, but they say, if you come for our rights, we'll come for your seats. So just know that we do hold power. We hold these people's jobs in our hands. So if you don't like the job they're doing, you can fire them. So voting works. Vote. I'm gonna end tonight so that people can stop watching us and go vote if they're in the West Coast. But Sarah said, keep fighting and using your voices. Exactly. I'm going to end it on that note. Keep fighting and using your voices, and have a stay educated. And thank you, Dr. Jen, for educating us once again on this.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Claire, for doing this and your passion for women's reproductive rights.
Awesome.